Hey, good morning, y'all. Welcome to the stream. Happy Saturday to you. Just gonna take a second here and pour some coffee before we get started. What's up, Rackbird? Hey, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate it. Is that you, James? I think so. And as usual, okay, cool, awesome. Welcome aboard. And James was, since you're in the chat, I think Ben's in there too. What's up, B-Rob? Yeah, anybody in the chat, just let me know if the sound in terms of the levels is good. Same settings I had last night, so just want to make sure the music's not too loud, since in my headphones it's a bit louder than it's outputting. Okay, cool. All right, so today we're going to continue working a little bit on this package I've been creating, where basically streamers can auto embed iframes into their sites with a React component if they're streaming. Hey, what's up, Ben? Morning. Thanks, B-Rob. Appreciate that. So, changed a couple things here today. One thing I did is now I'm hiding my, I revoked the key that I exposed yesterday, and now I'm hiding it here. So we can actually see this test React app that I'm linking locally to my Twitch plugin. And then I have this in red just here with Peacock, which is a great VS Code plugin that can help you in terms of telling apart your different repos. And then here's actually the plugin itself that we've been working on. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to lower the music a little bit on my end. Cool. Okay. All right, so first thing we need to do is I need to double check that these are still being linked. So essentially what we want to do here is we have a repo. Yeah, I just updated my git ignore. So this repo, the Twitch plugin, which I'm gonna end up renaming, is actually where the work we're doing is. So we want to yarn link this. So so I already did this. So basically, I've already linked this locally, but I'll go through the process just so we can see it. So yarn unlink, and then yarn. So this is, as far as I understand, this is a good way to work on packages locally. Okay, so it looks like this has been unlinked. So the idea here is that we're actually, I can't spell, apparently, clear. There we go. So because we're developing a plugin, this repo, the Twitch plugin, is essentially going to be an NPM package. What we want to do is use it inside of our Create React app here that we have. And so what we need to do is we need to do yarn link. And so now what this does is we can run yarn link Twitch plugin in other local repos we have, and then we will be sourcing the plugin from here as opposed to from our node modules folder. All right, so here we need to do yarn link Twitch plugin. So now you can see we're using the linked package. We're not using the one in the node modules. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go yarn run build. Let me just double check that. So yeah, this is the plugin repo, and we have a yarn script that we've created with rollup, which is essentially watching the files in here, and then it's recompiling using our rollup config, and that's what creates the files in our dist folder. So I'm gonna run that so that we have this watching our files as we work. And then here we can yarn run start, I believe it is. Let me double check that. Yeah, so we're going to yarn run start. It's a React script that will start up our local development server. Cool. So you can see this is still working from yesterday. Yeah, it's super easy. I was not sure how to do that when I first started working on this. I had done it like once or twice at work. Okay, cool. Already exposing keys. Well, I'll be revoking that one again. I was just logging this out before the stream started to make sure things were working, so I'll have to fix that. Okay, so now it's true. Okay, so what's happening here right now is we have a embeddable or embedded iframe for this user's Mixer stream, and it's responsive, and that's what we added yesterday. So this is inside of our test React app. We are using the Twitch plugin here, and then we're using an API key, and we're determining, so this needs to be renamed actually. So I'm gonna do. This needs to be renamed Twitch API key. Just because now that we're supporting Mixer and Twitch, this is specific to Twitch, or Twitch client ID, I guess would be better. Hey, Ryan Warder, welcome. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so I'm gonna rename this. This aspect ratio, we might be able to remove this because I've not seen yet one of the stream platforms that has a different aspect ratio. So if we can get rid of that, that would be great because I don't want people to have to do that type of math. Okay. So we're using some hard-coded values here because last night we were testing some stuff out, but I'm going to switch this back to Twitch. And then we got to find, so nobody by this name, this username here, Andrew Arcade, I guess. Nobody's streaming at that, with that user profile, so we don't have an embed here. Yeah, cool. All right, so let's go to Twitch and just find somebody who's live, and we'll use them. Okay. CM is live as usual, so I'm going to use him just because he has been kind enough to raid my stream before, so thanks, CM. All right, cool. It looks like he's opening a jar of weed. Having a good morning, I guess, over there. So yeah, we can see this works. Cool. And then let's double check that Mixer still works. Find somebody on Mixer. And so remember, yesterday we discovered that essentially we need, in this case, whereas for Twitch, you can just pass in the username and your API key, Mixer actually requires you to have a channel ID because that's what it uses for the iframe embeds. Even though the docs say to use the username, actually the channel ID works. And the reason we went in this direction is because using the string of a username did not give us any information about the channel ID, which is ultimately what we needed. Hey, ATD. So yeah, I'm gonna go to this woman's stream, this person's stream. It's gonna be muted. Cool. Let's mute that. But now this is what we had to do yesterday. We had to actually look in the network requests for their broadcast ID, which is a little less than straightforward, but so we'll use this one and we'll say, hey, that's our new user ID. It looks like it's working. Yep, Miss Funzy. It's responsive. So it looks like this is the right channel, the right embed. It's taking a second to load, but it looks like it is working. Let's see. Do we have any issues in our network requests? Nope. Might just be something slow on Mixer's end, so I'm not too concerned about that right now. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So also responsive. Okay, so first thing I want to do, let's rename this real quick because that's something that we probably should do. So this is our Create React app. This is our plugin. So we have an API key coming in, and we're actually going to want to find all instances of that, which I think there are only 3. Let's double check. Yes, 3. So we're gonna find all case sensitive. We did this yesterday. So we're actually gonna replace this with this handy replace all. So what I want to call this, like I said on the left screen, is Twitch client ID. We'll replace all. And then now that's gonna break what we have working. So if we change this, now we should be good to go. Let's try it with the Twitch. So right now we're using Mixer. We want to use Twitch. Looks like I broke something. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay. Twitch client ID. Cool. So it's still working. All right. So that's the first thing I wanted to do. I'm just going to commit that real quick. CD code, and we're in our Twitch plugin. Git status. So I'm going to add it all and just say we updated Twitch API prop name update git ignore. And the only reason I changed the git ignore is because when you change your VS Code settings to have these nice colored bars using Peacock, it changes the settings file in your .vs code directory, and so that shows up in Git as an uncommitted change. So, all right, cool. The next thing I'm gonna do is I want to get rid of the concept of Twitch plugin, since this is really now a stream plugin. If anybody in the chat has a good idea for a name for this package, I was thinking something like stream embed, excuse me, or live stream plugin. I don't know. I don't have too many creative ideas this morning for that, but all right, cool. So for now, let's just find all instances of the Twitch plugin. So there's 5. Yep. And thanks to VS Code, we can just scroll through over here. You see on the sidebar all the highlighted instances. Twitch plugin. Okay. So we're going to change that to stream embed. React live stream. I like that, Ryan. Let's do that. This is why I love having you in the chat, my friend. All right, cool. So now this needs to be renamed React Live Stream. And we know that because we created the function that is this React component. And down here, what we're doing is we're exporting the default, meaning that we can just import it without having to do that. If we were to export other functions out of this file, we could also import them by doing this type of thing, which is what you see right here with the React package. This is the core default export from the React library. But when you do things like this, what you're doing is you're essentially importing another function. However, it just doesn't happen to be the default. So if we do that, yep, see, it still works. And now if we check our DOM, actually the prop names or the class names have changed. CM doing his thing. Oh, did I? Oh, I'm glad to hear that, James. What were you wondering about the import export stuff? Why you use the brackets versus not? Cool. So I'm gonna get rid of this because this my app header. Who cares? Yeah, so Ryan Warner, we went through this right before you jumped in the stream. I'm using Yarn Link. So inside of the directory for the package we're working on, I ran Yarn Link. And what this does is, let's see, we don't have it because we're now running these processes. But essentially when you do that, it says, hey, you now have a local package that you can link in other projects by running yarn link and then the name of the package. So we did that in the Create React app that we have over here. So we're importing from the Twitch plugin, which, like this import above, usually comes from our node modules folder. But in this case, because of the Yarn link, we're actually drawing a connection between this package and this repo over here that we're actively working on. Cool. All right. Let's see. So one thing I want to do to test out, we tested this out yesterday, but we added a prop called offline component, which when we have no stream active, so if we're not live here, what we do is, I'm just going to collapse that. If we're not live, then we render the offline component. However, this logic actually needs to be a little different as well, because what if we're not live and we don't have an offline component? So basically, we should be conditionally rendering this and saying, hey, we can do this a couple ways. Offline component. If we have one, let's render it. If not, then let's do null. I think that's the syntax. Actually, that's probably wrong. Let's do that. Null. Annotations can only be used in TypeScript files. Okay. So that's a linting thing. You know what? I'm gonna make it simpler. Offline component. We'll just do that. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna flip the bit and just see what happens here. So it's rendering it, but we're live. So it shouldn't be. So let's see. We have a div that has the iframes inside of it, which I think we can abstract these as well to another. Also, we want to get rid of this because this title is specifically for my stream. So if we have an offline component, we're going to do the offline component. Otherwise, we'll do null. So again, let me try to flip this. So we're live right now, which is why we see the embed. So let's say if not live. Yeah, cool. So now we have this rendering with nothing inside of it because it's defaulting to this null because we are not passing in the offline component, which is an optional prop, as we can see down here, because offline component does not have an is required. So let's go back to our, sorry for all the jumping around with the windows. I had to scale my large monitor to 720p to make it easier for y'all to read on the stream. So I have like very little space to work with here, but I think it looks a lot better. So you guys can confirm that. Okay, cool. So let's test this out now. Let's make a offline component just to test it, and we'll return. We'll just return a paragraph tag because we're not really too concerned about what this is right now. This is just a test. So offline component. So now we should see that paragraph tag. But we do not. All right, so offline component. I think maybe I need to do this. Yeah, cool. So there we go. Yeah, Ben, totally. Like in my first couple streams, I was trying to like get, I think, a little bit ahead of myself and automating a bunch of this process. But I think it was Robert Tables, our friend David, who told me, he was like, hey, like the simplest things to start are going to be the things that make the biggest difference to your audience. And one of the things he cited was font size scaling. And I find that when I go back to look at these videos when I'm posting them on YouTube for the VOD, that it is much easier to see what I'm doing. My design for my stream is not really the prettiest thing in the world, but I think it's getting the job done for right now. And soon I will have a upgraded graphics package with the help of a friend of mine who's designing some cool stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like me having a big monitor doesn't matter if you can't see it. In fact, if it's my monitor is really big and it makes it extra hard for you to see because of that, it's counterproductive if anything. So, okay, cool. So we know that works. So I'm just gonna leave that there because then we know when we're not live and when we're live. And I'm gonna flip this bit back. And by bit, I mean I'm just using sort of jargon for a Boolean value, and so this is just checking if it's true. And what I'm doing is by putting the bang or the exclamation, I'm saying if it's false, and that allows me to, I just have to change that one piece of logic since the rendering happening below is based on that value. Cool. Okay, so this is now called React Livestream. Thank you, Ryan Warner Codes. I love that. Let's see. Is there any... I'm trying to figure out if we can get rid of this aspect ratio prop because I really don't want that to be there. It seems like only the div... Yeah, the div that surrounds the iframe has a before. And that's using... it's a little tricky. And by tricky, I mean a clever little solution. We're adding an element in the before pseudo element that has no content, but it's a block, so it takes up space in the document. And then what we're doing is giving it padding bottom. And by making this calculation here, it's always going to keep the right aspect ratio for us as we scale the window, because the padding bottom will be flexing. And then we position our iframe absolutely inside of the relative container. And this is what allows us to do this type of deal, and is a pretty common solution for not only videos, but also I think a lot of people use that for making images responsive in certain cases. And just so we can go back to the source material here, this is the article I used as reference for that part of the work I've done so far. So I'm just going to drop this in the chat for y'all in case anybody wants to read up on responsive iframes. Of course, Chris Coyer, great resource for us. All right, so next thing I want to do is, so Mixer, Twitch, and I would imagine YouTube are 16:9. So let's comment this out. Let's just make this 16:9. Like hard code it. So instead of that, it will be 16:9, which should work. Let's see. And then, yeah, it's still working. And then what we need to do, is we can actually get rid of this aspect ratio. And this might be something that I don't want to have now, because honestly I want this to be as simple as possible in terms of user experience or developer experience. So let's get rid of this now, and maybe this is something we add in a V2 if someone who ends up using this package is like, hey, I'm trying to use the package but XYZ doesn't work the way I want it to because I have a different aspect ratio. That'd be cool. All right, so let's confirm we're working. Yes, we still are, still flexible. Cool. And so this is responsive and flexible, and it looks like even the overlays are responding properly, and that's based on the styling and work that they've done on their iframe UI. So cool. So let's go back to VS Code and can get rid of this now. And we're also, let's do YouTube. Let's start getting the YouTube support working. So right now, the only thing that should be happening is that we're logging YouTube and we're rendering an offline component because we don't have a true value in our is live state. And if you were in the stream yesterday or last week, we built these two functions, fetch Twitch data, fetch mixer data. And essentially every time the component renders, we run this use effect and we determine based on the platform prop which platform we're on, and then we're making a call to determine whether or not the person is live or the streamer is live. And then inside of the callback, for example, here in the fetch mixer data, essentially if we meet the conditions we're looking for, as in they're online and the channel ID in the response matches the channel ID that we're getting from our props, then we set live as true. And down here, when live is true, we render the div with the iframe inside of it. And actually, now that I'm seeing this, mixer channel ID is actually an integer. So we're gonna change this. Mixer channel ID is a num. And here, let's see where we're using it. Mixer channel ID. We're using it in 6 places. Yes, okay, so here's the import. Here it's being interpolated into a string. And this is the one we're parsing the int because before we were considering that it was a string, but we don't need to do that because it is a number. And I believe the channel ID, is a number, but we can double check that. Type of channel ID. So this is gonna, oops, sorry. This is going to log out the type for us of the channel ID variable. And if we change this to mixer, Miss Fun Size, actually, I think it is. That's a cute username. I like that. It's fun. So our fetch mixer data, we want to log that out when we fetch it. So it is a number. So we're good because now we're comparing a number to a number. So we can get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. And we can actually go back here and let's change it to YouTube, and now we can start supporting that. Yeah, James, I got a 32-inch LG monitor when I started at Fauna because we work remotely even before all the coronavirus stuff. And I considered getting a curved one, but I've never used one before. So I was a bit trepidatious there, but also I was talking to Chris Biscardi and he said, you know, when you have the curved monitor, in terms of streaming, like it has ramifications, so I figured going with a flat one is the way to go. But if you want to check out, this is I have a uses page here, and this is the monitor that I'm using. It's a 1440 monitor. Here at B&H Photo. So I'll drop this in chat. I got it on sale for significantly less, for $100 less at least. So take that with a grain of salt, but I love it. At first I thought it might be too big, but can never be. Okay, so now we're gonna need to go to YouTube and check out the documentation. And honestly, I don't know I'm hoping that we can do essentially the same thing we're doing for Mixer and Twitch by getting information about a stream without having to use like any sort of server side auth. All right, so we're gonna need that for sure. I'll open that in another tab. So the live streaming API. A broadcast represents an event that can be watched. Broadcast can be recorded and saved. Stream identifies audio, video content is being communicated to YouTube. Okay, yeah, I think so. Basically, a broadcast will be happening, but I think the stream concept determines when it's active. So it looks like we're going to need an API key. So I'll have to do that on a different screen. You can use the Content ID API, calling. Yeah, this seems like a. Exactly to one YouTube video resource. In fact, live broadcast resource and the video resource share the same ID. Okay, so it seems like it maintains the same ID as it's a live broadcast, and then when it ends, it becomes a video or VOD, and it keeps the same one so that you can access it via the API. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see. So I'm just looking for a, let's do this. So I don't want to create, so they do have client libraries, of course. This is not, I don't want to do that. Client-side web apps. That's us. Oh, Authflow. Oh boy. I guess it sounds like we might not be able to get this API info. Yeah, this is what we want to do, I think. Hey, Naren, what's up? Good evening to you. It's still in the morning here. I'm doing a chill little stream. I got my tie-dye tank top on, waiting for that Party Corgi tank to arrive from Egghead. All right, cool. I think this is what we want to do. But we need an access token. So you can add it as a query parameter or as a header. Yeah, I wish there was it seems like their APIs are managed in a way that it's going to be, I don't want to have a OAuth refresh. So create whichever credentials are appropriate, API keys. I think that's what we want. The key identifies your project and provides a key. Create credentials. Okay. All right, so it looks like I'm gonna need to do this over here real quick, so bear with me. What's up, Angel? Welcome to the stream. All right, so let's create an API key. if you're in the chat and just joining the stream, we're just looking to add some support, some YouTube support here for our live stream project. So okay, so I created a new project. Now I'm going to create a new API key, and we want to use the YouTube SDK. So it looks like there's a couple, and if I remember what we were reading, let's double check. Let's see. iframe player parameters. Yeah, but we also want to check out if people are streaming. Where was that? We had a nice little page that showed that to us. I forget which API we're using. I think we're using the API, the data API, so let's just try that. This provides access to YouTube data such as videos, playlists, and channels. That might not be the one. We actually want live stream. Let's see. APIs Explorer. Activities. Channels. Okay, so this gives you a channel, but it doesn't have any info, it doesn't seem like, on its status as a stream. Branding. Oh, cool. They have a lot of data. I mean, it's Google, so I guess that it goes without saying. Videos. Let's see. So returns a list of videos matching the API request parameters. So this is returns a video resource. So we have some info about the channel, the title, live broadcast content. Aha. So you can get info about a video, and it will tell you if it's live, upcoming, or none. But this seems to be based off of a call. Let's see. Try it now. This seems to be based off a call using the ID. By ID, multiple IDs. See, I think we want to look at a user really, not a specific video. Channels. Let's go back to channels, because I feel like channels are probably associated more with the user. So if we list a channel, returns a collection of 0 or more channel resources, common use cases, list by channel ID, list by username. I think that's what we want. Or you can do list my channel. Let's see what this looks like. Execute. So, being asked to auth over here, but I didn't. Okay, so channels. So we might be able to even just do, I think we're gonna need a key, but okay. Sorry, y'all. I didn't see all this chat going on. I'm deep in it, but feel free to shout out if you have a question. So let's try this. I 100% do not think this is gonna work. Yep. Let's see. Because also they don't go by, or it does go by usernames. So yeah, off. Get out of here. So the request. Must provide an authorization token. So this returns channel info. And then that returns it. This will return info about the channel, which is where we have, I think there was the live status was on here. Language, statistics, privacy, watch, localizations. So it doesn't look like it's in here. Okay, let's do a little Googling. YouTube API. I really wish these docs, like, companies like this have so many docs and they don't really put in enough in terms of code snippets and stuff like that. Like, just show me the URL that I'm hitting and then I'll figure out the params from there. So live broadcasts. So you can use this. And again, this goes back to the ID, but I want to be able to use the username. However, of course, YouTube does not, like, Ryan Harris is not my username, or it is my username, but it's not my channel. So if we go to YouTube, go to my channel, this is my channel, like this, that's the unique identifier, I think. Yeah, viewer, subscriber, channel, this. So what if we do this? We made a curl here. If we do that. So I think I got back the full HTML as not a surprise. Hey, something came back. Worst comes to worst, you get the HTML and then you just regex it. Not a great idea. Okay. So live broadcasts, let's see. Requires, so this requires the ID, which is like, if you were to do a live stream, like here the videos have an ID. Oh, sorry about that. I have hot corners set up, so when it goes to the bottom left corner, things go all the way across. So this is what that looks like. And then they're saying live broadcast by ID. I just want to see what this snippet looks like. Okay, so that's what we're going to need to get an access token. Yeah, live broadcast, snippet, content, your broadcast ID. And I'm also wondering, that broadcast ID might change every time you stream, so that would be really tough. Yeah, Naren, it actually works right now for Twitch and for Mixer. So now I'm just working on trying to get so here's Twitch. And then if we were to switch this to Mixer, this works as well, responsive. Seems like the Mixer API is a little slow right now, but it's fine. So yeah, now we're doing the YouTube. And it's really what we're trying to do is figuring out the logic that we have here. Essentially, we're going to have to create a new function called fetch YouTube data. Right now, we're just going to log out. Fetching data. And so this will get called when the platform prop comes in as YouTube. We'll actually call this function. Cool. And because of this empty array, it's only going to run once. So if you're not familiar with useEffect, I've been writing some articles about hooks. I have one on useEffect, and we cover this optional argument here, which is called a dependency array. And this, by doing an empty array, essentially you're creating effect that runs once the first time the component mounts. Yeah, Naren, I figured. Just for anybody out there not familiar with them. Okay, so now we have this function. This is where we're going to do our logic for the fetching. So I'm actually going to just copy this fetch here, like I did last time. And I'm going to comment it out because we still need to figure out exactly what we're doing. So this is going to be YouTube API. And then this is what we still need to figure out. So. Oh, and Naren, another thing that we add, you're seeing offline component here because we added an additional prop today, offline component, which allows you to pass in a React component. We're just defining one right here for demonstration purposes. And then essentially what we have down here is logic that says, so this is a big ternary that's checking to see if you're streaming. If so, all this stuff up here renders the div with the iframe. However, if you're not, we're checking to see that you passed this prop. If you did, we're going to render that offline component. Otherwise, we'll render nothing and it'll just take up no space in the document. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do it. I know Dom streams quite a bit too, but yeah, I'm happy to do a talk about this. If there's anything, Angel, specifically you're interested in learning about in terms of getting started, let me know. I'm happy to answer those questions, but also I'm going to drop this in the chat. I spend a lot of time writing these articles, so I might as well reference them. So the first time I started streaming, I wrote this article. And so that's, Angel, this is when I was using Mixer and OBS, which is not the case anymore, but the gist of it remains the same. And for this is more about setting up your scenes. And that's how you can manage like different looks. So, for example, this is Chris Biscardi's stream. He said I could take a screenshot and use it as an example. But this whole window would be a scene made up of these 4 different elements, which is sort of like what my stream looks like. So yeah, check these out and they'll give you some insight into the basics. And then if you have questions, feel free to reach out. I've also started using Streamlabs OBS, which is in beta right now. So Streamlabs OBS is another streaming software that is for Windows right now. And they have a Mac beta that I got in on because it has a lot of things that are sort of built into it that OBS doesn't. Okay. All right. Do I have more coffee in this carafe? I hope so. I hope so. Oh yeah, Ben. Am I gonna go to that and it's just gonna say yes? Is it gonna be just yes? Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and Angel, many of the folks in the chat here are well versed in streaming. Some much more than myself. So if you have questions while you're watching, Ryan Warner streams quite a bit. We have Ben Lannon. He's a big streamer, part of the Live Coders crew. I think there's some other folks in here that are streaming too. So yeah, definitely don't be shy. All right, so I'm starting to think that maybe this isn't the right. I just want to get basically I just need to find out like, hey, is this online? Reference. Activities. So this lists activities by channel, but then we would have to look through a list of activities to see if there's like a go live event, I would imagine. Yeah. Are you using Heroku, Angel? Cool. Yeah, I think I did. When I first got into Dev, I never learned Ruby on Rails, but I did go to TA at a couple events for Rails Girls, which is like a Rails-focused nonprofit that tries to get young women into tech by teaching them Ruby on Rails. So I went as a TA because I had familiarity with like setting up your dev environment and that type of stuff, which was usually as far as we would get in the weekend workshop. But as part of that, to prepare, I went through all of the Rails Girls curriculums that they had on their website, and part of it was deploying to Heroku, and I found it was pretty cool. Yeah, let's see. Is it Rails Girls with a Z? I forget. The Boston chapter specifically has a really great resource. Let's see. Railsbridge. That's what it was. Railsbridge, sorry. Yeah. So they have, I think they still hold events. Yeah. Learn. Yeah, these are interesting docs. That's my extent of Rails knowledge comes from there. Okay, cool. So back to channel. If we list a channel by a YouTube username, oh wow, cool. I wish that this had inside of it a status. Yeah, you got it, Angel. Anytime. I have lots of like most of the things I know are just, I have a list of resources that I just look at over and over again. Like anytime I do CSS, it is not coming from here. It is coming from Google. So it doesn't look like this holds the information we need. Yeah, Naren, CSS tricks, let me tell you. The Flexbox guide for CSS tricks is like, if it wasn't for that, get nowhere. Published at, chat high, localized, description, content, related playlists. What if we, how about this? First, I want to find, maybe we find someone who's streaming, and then we know that we'll get response data back, like the fields back about the stream, whereas currently we're hitting the Google developers channel and they might not be streaming. So, of course, one of my favorite things on the internet, lo-fi hip-hop radio. Chilled cow. Chilled cow, okay. Chilled cow. So let's see if this gives us back any additional fields. So it does give us some more data, but it doesn't look like. Naren. It is... Here, I'll drop the link. I'm playing a Spotify Monster Cat mix. Copy song link. I'll drop it in the chat. I use this because I believe this is it's royalty free. The Monster Cat stuff, but techno is not really what I usually listen to, but it is nice for coding. I mean, this isn't all techno, but a lot of it's like electronic oriented. So, okay, so this looks like it gives us data, but nothing in terms of that. Comments, playlists, subscriptions, videos. So the videos are going to be, I'm sure, by ID. Yeah, by ID, by most popular videos, my liked videos. Yeah, Naren, here, I'll link you the playlist too. Or this is the artist. So this is the Monster Cat artist playlist on Spotify. Yeah, this is the one we were just looking at. Chilled cow. Total results per page. So it's only getting, it looks like if we were to we could pass in like a list of usernames potentially. Snippet, chilled cow, published at. So we do have a date. However, in this case, you can see this video, or this channel, I guess, was created on this date. So it's not about the video itself. So I was hoping that would return to us some sort of info about the videos. Yeah, you got it, Naren. Let's see. So maybe it's not this data API. So maybe it is this live streaming one. I don't want to have to use the library, but maybe. list by ID, but this ID I think is a user ID, isn't it? Or your stream ID. Does anybody in the chat actually stream on YouTube? I don't know if they give you like your stream ID is like, hey, every time I go live, it's at this ID. I'm wondering if that's the case. Also, there's live broadcast, so I'm not sure what the difference is between these. By broadcast status, by ID. Again, this is it uses the ID request parameter to identify the broadcast, okay? This says sort of the same thing. Live stream resource contains information about a video stream that you're transmitting to YouTube. The stream provides the content that will be broadcast to YouTube viewers. Once it's created, it can be bound to a live broadcast resource, okay? What do you mean by Premiere, Angel? Do you mean like you have to be like a YouTube Pro or whatever they call it? Your stream ID. You know what? Maybe what I need to do, maybe I need to set up live streaming in my YouTube account and we can see how that works. I don't plan on necessarily using it, but let's see. Maybe I'll move this off screen just in case there's some sensitive info in here. If not, I'll bring it back over. Okay, gotcha. Yes, I don't know which one we would want to support. It seems to suggest that like they can be semi-associated with one another. Live broadcast represents an event that will be streamed via video live on YouTube. So maybe this is it. So by broadcast status, by ID, your broadcast ID. Okay, so let's go back to a live YouTuber and maybe we can do what we did in Mixer and look at the network requests and see if there's an ID that gets exposed to us. Okay. Let's check out our network tab. Okay. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to close this super chat because that's, I think, causing lots of calls. Ugh, top chat. Not a big fan of chat. Okay, video playback. Let's copy this. Let's create a new file in here. So I'm just gonna dump this in and see if we can look for broadcast. So live broadcast. Is there any other unique identifier in here that we could potentially use? Hey, what's up, David? Yeah, I actually said before I'm wearing this. I got a tie-dye one. This is just, you know, until the corgi ones come. Till the corgi ones come. Okay. So let's see. Response, params. So we have these params. Are any of these our broadcast ID? Yeah, so Robert, yesterday on the stream we added Mixer support for our little embeddable plugin for streamers. So to demonstrate, we now have a responsive embed whenever somebody's live. Based on, for Twitch, we need a client ID and a username, and then you have to define which platform. Right now, you can also do Mixer, and it just takes a channel ID, and then that embeds as well. So also responsive. And another thing we added was we actually added now YouTube support, which is what we're working on, but we also added the ability to pass in an offline component in case you're not streaming. So here we're just creating a small little demo one. And this is a Create React app that we have running. And here is the repo that we're working in. This is the package that's linked locally via Yarn Link. And so essentially what happens is if you're not streaming, we come down here and we say if they've passed in an offline component, then we will render that component. So say you want to render just like a call out to your Twitch account in general, even when you're not streaming, you can pass in a custom component to do that. But if you don't pass in that optional prop, it will just render nothing. So, and what we're doing right now is we're trying to make it so that we can add YouTube to this. And so what I wanted to do is I'm looking for the ID of the channel, I think, because we want to get a list. We need to check for a live broadcast, and I think we need to check by the ID, which is sort of how the Mixer one works, whereas Twitch we're able to pass in a username. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a param or something in here that serves as the broadcast ID, because this is live. I mean, this, let's see. I think this is the video ID, but let's try it. Unauthorized, yeah, because we probably have to pass a, I think we need to pass an API key here. Yeah, totally. And the key, snippet, status, oh. You know when we were looking at this, and this works without any auth, it returns info to us, but up here is an optional list of parts. So maybe the reason we weren't getting the data we needed is just because we're not adding the right parts. So looks like these are the things we have: snippet, content details, statistics. So maybe one of these has information about the status. Channel resource, properties, e-tag. Errors, okay. But what about these parts? I need to know more about these. Let's get rid of this. Maybe status. That seems like it would be a fitting. But I think we actually did that. No, we didn't. Status. And we're going to do, for username, chilled cow. Okay. So now we should have a status field. Okay, so privacy status public is linked true, but doesn't give us any information about the status of the video. So this is a channel list response. I'm starting to think this is probably not what we're doing. No, I got 4 people in the chat on a Saturday. That's cool. Shooting for that Twitch affiliate status, so pretty close. Probably might even hop on tomorrow, because I think if I do tomorrow, even for like 20 minutes, I think I hit it, so. Okay. Yeah, no worries, James. We'll be here. All right, so list by broadcast status. I don't want to list it. I want my broadcast ID. And Robert, if you've ever streamed on Twitch, oh, Naren, did you? Cool. Drop a link in the chat for me. That'd be great. Yeah, see, so this lists videos, but live streams are a different thing. It seems like there's a different model for channels, videos, live streams. So I think we actually need to use search for live. Okay. Ah. But see, the only thing here is that you need to pass in a video ID, not a channel ID or a username. So I think this video ID would change every time you go live. So someone would need to manually update that, which is not what we want. We want to see essentially, I want to see the user, and in the user object, I would want to see if they were live or not. So again, I think, Naren, that this live broadcast thing by ID, I get the sense that your ID stays the same because this looks like a constant here. So you could potentially set this to a constant. Is there no way to get to their ID, Ben? Oh yeah, see, this is what it seems like how they're doing the IDs. Like I want it to be, I need to pass in a value that's a constant value. So here for Twitch, we have the username and we have the client ID. Excuse me, we need for auth, that works. The Mixer channel ID is a constant too, from what I can tell, because every time I go back to my page, the ID in all of the API calls is the same. Yeah, Ben, so that's what I'm wondering is I need to find a way to get, I guess, a list of their streams that are active. But if they can have multiple, then it's like these IDs are dynamic potentially. Unless they're not, unless every live stream you set up has its own unique identifier. But there's also this concept of live broadcasts, so I'm not sure what the difference between those two are. So I'm going to look at my off-screen. I'm going to look at my YouTube, because I want to see if they're. I am not too familiar with how you set up the streams. So you can go live. Okay. All right, so maybe a good thing to do would be look up YouTube live stream docs, just in terms of like as a streamer, not as a developer trying to work with the API, and maybe this will give us some insight. Okay, so enable a live stream, create a live stream encoder, promote your live stream. What about streaming tips? Encoding, webcam. Create your first live stream. The encoder of your webcam via mobile. Promote your live stream. What's up, James? Before the event, during the event. So it's probably going to say to tweet it. Embed the URL on your website and send link to the blogs that may want to display your content. All right, well, but if that value changes, how do we use that? Actually, if we share, no, I want to do an embed. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, need 1,000 subs. I would think that they would want to encourage the mobile streaming on YouTube because people might be more willing to do that. All right, so excuse me. So it looks like this ID here is the video ID. So at least we know how, once we can figure out the status via the API call, we know that the embed is really not that hard to construct this URL. It would basically be without this. We can actually copy this. And let's just drop this in as if we had something working. So I'm going to clean up these conditional renders later too. Probably abstract stuff to functions, but essentially this is what we're doing. If YouTube is the platform and this is all wrapped in a conditional that's checking whether or not the status is live, we would want to embed this. I'm just going to use this hard-coded value right now because we know that this stream is ongoing. So that, okay. And then we also can flip this bit, I think, because right now it's going to render the offline component. But if we flip it, cool. So we have it embedded, which is nice. It doesn't autoplay, which I think might be one of the values here. I think we might be able to say autoplay. Huh. It has autoplay. Okay, but what we need to do here is like what we've done with all of our other iframes. Essentially, these iframes need the same styles to be absolutely positioned so that the responsiveness works. So I'm going to abstract this to an object since we're reusing it 3 times now, but there's a demonstration that this works. So something works. That's cool. All right, let's go ahead and abstract this now. I'm gonna minimize these just so we have more room. So we're gonna say iframe styles, since these are shared. Or I'm sorry, it's gonna be CSS block. And the only reason we can do it this way is because we're using a motion in this JSX Pragma. So this is allowing us to write this CSS block as real CSS and then use that object in the CSS prop. Oh, thanks for the host, Digital Drummer. I appreciate that. That's nice of you. Yeah, and one thing I want to do, if anybody in the chat is like Ben or Robert, one thing I don't quite fully understand yet on Twitch is rating. As far as I understand, can I only do that via my creator dashboard? Because I think a good practice would be for me to start ending my streams by rating other streams to support folks trying to do the same thing. Oh, you can do it in chat. So Ben, is it like a slash command slash raid and then the name of the user? Okay, cool. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is before we jump off the stream at some point today, what we'll do is we will find somebody doing the thing, and then we're gonna, as Robert says, push the button and go. Just trying to see before we get back into this if there's anything else that we can abstract. Yeah, we can actually abstract this. And I'll put it in order. So this is going to be const iframe wrapper styles, just so it's not in line in our markup. And we could probably even actually move these outside of the component because they are not using dynamic values. Robert Tables, I'm using Emotion. So for those not familiar, Emotion SH is a package that allows you to do things like this. So basically in a React component, you can import the CSS. I guess there would be a function here, but this CSS import allows you to write CSS blocks like this, like we just did. And then inside of here, we're also importing the JSX Pragma so that Emotion properly compiles all of this. So these CSS blocks get applied as CSS, and you can pass them into elements this way. So yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take this and abstract it to a variable. Okay. Okay. So now we have that out of the way. Iframe wrapper styles can now get passed in here since we just created this block above as a variable. Now we just pass that block in. Should still work. Yep. Cool. So we have a YouTube embed. That's cool. It's responsive. Hey, yes, Jade. What in terms of extension, could you clarify? Are you asking about what allows me to do the CSS prop or one of the extensions in my editor? Yeah, good idea, Ryan Warner. Something I need to do more of. So please go do a little extra exercise for me. Thanks for dropping in the stream. I'm sure I'll see you later. Okay. So we got something working, you know? Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, so the package is called, I was calling it Twitch plugin, but we're adding support for other streaming services. So Ryan Warner, who just dropped out of the chat, suggested React Livestream, which I adopted. So that's now what we're calling it. And then in my local React app, I'm importing this and using it right here. So the idea is that these are all the props you can pass, and I'm just doing that here to demonstrate, but essentially, like, if you're using one platform, not the other, like, you're not gonna need to pass all of these in. This is optional. The only things that are required, really, if you look at the prop types down here, we require Twitch client ID, which actually doesn't need to be required. The only real thing that's required is the platform, but if you want things to work, you're going to need to pass in these values. So I'm actually going to make this not required now that I think about it. And I'm going to, one thing I want to do on the stream too is I think we need to add more to the README, and we also need to update or add like a how to use type document. All right, I'm gonna take a break for a second, grab a little bit of water. So hang out in the chat. I'll be right back. Just give me 2 minutes. Thanks. Yeah, what's up, y'all? Sorry about that. Thanks for hanging out. I hope everybody got some water for themselves, you know. Important to stay hydrated. I'm pretty bad at that. Instead, I just drink coffee all day, which is not good for you. Cool. All right. So let's get back to trying to troubleshoot. But like I said, one thing we should do before we move on, read me. So this is going to be called React Live Stream. Oop, sorry about that. I keep knocking my mouse into my hot corner, which moves everything off my screen. So, okay, so automatically embed your live stream as an iframe whenever you are live. Cool. Works. So right now I'm just going to put Twitch and Mixer because we don't have the YouTube working quite yet, but I do want to make these links, so we'll wrap them in brackets. And this is HTTPS Twitch. I think I can just do twitch.tv. Also, why am I typing this? This is how I do it. Okay, then we go back here, say Mixer, copy that too, go back. All right, cool, ads. Nope, that's not what I want. Just do that. Cool. Not build. Automatically embed your live stream as an iframe whenever you go live. Okay, cool. So now we have that going. So this is just like the description, and then later we're gonna need to add a how to use or instructions. I'd rather copy and paste than type any day. It's pretty lazy. Okay, cool. YouTube, instructions, well, TBD, and then just call this notes for now. And then we can change all that later. Cool. Okay. All right, so back to trying to figure out what the heck is going on YouTube. So again, so the iframe embed is based off of this value. So like Ben said, let's go to Chilled Cows user. Yeah, see, they have 3 live streams. My question though is if they go live, so say they go live here and they have this ID and then this stream goes down but comes back up, does it maintain the same ID? I highly doubt it. So I think we want a list of, maybe we do want a list of videos like Naren, I think you were saying. There's a way to check if it's live, right? See, I wish we could do this, but not by video ID, but hey Ben, have you ever actually live streamed on YouTube before? Okay, yeah, me either. If there's anybody in the Discord, which I don't have open, I don't think. I'll need to reach out to some folks about this. If I can't find anything in the next few minutes, maybe what we'll do is we'll continue this tomorrow with some more information about how the YouTube stuff works. At least at the very least, I should say, we have we can get the embed and we can get the responsiveness, which is fine. It's really just a question of what values we need to add to this component API, essentially, to make it easy to use. This could be something. Yeah, that's what I was just looking at, actually, the search endpoint. I was like, maybe we can do it there. So, nope. So this person was doing, let's see. Let's pull this out. For those of you wondering in the chat how I'm moving these windows around, I have a little app here that takes care of that with hotkeys. If you're interested in that, I believe it's called Rectangle app. Yeah, here it is. I'll drop it in chat. This is what I use now. I used to use one called Spectacle, but it's not supported anymore. So, channel ID, type video, event type live. Okay, seems like something we could be interested in. So live cows channel. Let's get rid of our inspector here. I believe is that. So it's this piece. That's the unique identifier for the channel. Event. So we're looking for information about this channel and for events that are live. For developer, I'll figure that out later. I'm not really sure what this is, but yeah, James, the only reason I actually did that was because I had to set up this new, I had to set up a new system for work, and then I had to actually do it. I had to do it twice, actually, because I had to take the work laptop, which is a 16-inch MacBook, into the Apple store. So the second time I set up my environment and computer, I was like, hey, Spectacle's not supported. Maybe I should find one that is. So. Okay, here we go. Yeah. I think this is what we want. Yep. So this is giving us three things because, like Ben said, that multiple live streams are going on with this user. So I think we just need to do basically this. YouTube channel ID. And we're going to use this value real quick because we know that Chilled Cow is streaming, so we know we'll get data. And then if we come in here, this is our YouTube data. So what we need to do is we actually have now a new prop. YouTube channel ID, prop types, string, and it's not required either, so we'll call that null. And actually this embed here, so this will be a value that we're going to have to interpolate based on our API call. So it looks like we have a list of events, or yeah, it returns an array of live streams. So what we're going to need to do is, I think there should be an ID here for each of them. There's the channel ID. So we might need to add additional info to this request up here. We might need more parts. Let's try that. Bad request. Unknown part content details, okay. So it looks like the parts that are available here. So it doesn't know this part content details. So we'll do that. Let's see if this works. It might not. That's fine. Yep, bad request, unknown part, statistics. So it probably doesn't know any of these actually. Let's take that out. Let's try it one more time. Bad request, doesn't know status. So it looks like there is, it's just snippet here. Let's see if we can confirm that. So it looks like there's only snippet, so that's cool. That's fine. We don't need really more than that. Aha, that's what we're looking for, I think. The video ID. Because that's what we used for the embed. All right. So let's go here. And essentially, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to instantiate some variables up here for the URLs. So we have Mixer, API, URL. Just so we can keep our logic clean. Twitch. And the reason I'm doing all caps for anybody wondering is these are constants essentially. It's nothing enforces that they're used that way. It's just that's a common convention. So we just want to do this for Twitch, and then we'll interpolate that as well. API URL, cool. We'll do same thing here. Just do one of these Johns. Twitch, cool. Mixer. And so now we're going to do YouTube. And let's see. What is the... Here it is. Yeah, no, it's yeah, that's what I was saying. It's convention. It's not enforced by the language or the compiler or the linter or anything like that. So it looks like it looks like this needs the key, but we're not using a key here. So I wonder if they're just allowing us to make this call in this example. But essentially, what I want to do is I want to copy this whole thing. Aha. So I don't know if you need it in both places, actually. So it looks like the key is a request parameter and an auth header. Access token, API key. Okay, so it's a double authentication, essentially. So we want this. So I'm going to reorder this, because we can move the channel ID and the key to the end. So now it should be something like this. Should do YouTube API, and then we would want to do and channel ID. That's going to be something that gets interpolated as well. And then we would also want to do and key. And that'll be an interpolated value. Okay. So search snippet, blah, blah, blah. Channel ID we're going to do, and key we're going to do. So we can actually get rid of these, since that base API URL is just that. And then we're going to take this value. We're going to use this in our fetch. So fetch. Can get rid of this first one. Get rid of this console log. Okay, so channel ID is going to be this YouTube channel ID prop. And the key is going to need to be, we're going to need to pass in a new key. So it's strange here because, well, not strange. I shouldn't say that. Essentially, we need a key in our call, but we also, it looks like they're using a auth header. I would think you would only need one of those. Robert, if you're listening in the chat. Yeah, don't you usually just need one over the other? Girl, let me try. I'm going to do this just straight up without the key and see what happens. Yeah, just the auth header. Okay, cool. No, that's not what I want. Okay, cool. So then they won't, because I don't want the user to have to pass in 2 credentials for YouTube. I would like it to just be 1. So if that needs to be the key here, that's fine. This is a pretty dope song. I've never played Beat Saber, but it definitely looks really cool. So we have a YouTube channel ID. We're also going to need a YouTube access token, which I'm going to have to set up, excuse me, over here, off on my private screen so you can't see it. It's the data API. Just registering a key. Bear with me. Okay. Robert, do you think I could, maybe I can just use the API key. I'm going to try that first. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to prove out here. So I've created one. I'm not going to share it with y'all, but I'm going to use it here. So I'm just going to move this off the screen real quick and set it as an environment variable. And then what we can do is YouTube API key equals, then I'll copy and paste this key, save that. Okay, I'm gonna hide this. Oh no. Oh no, I think my mouse died. No way. Give me 1 second. Hold on, I'll be right back. I need to plug this in. Oh, maybe did my mouse die? Something happened. Oh, okay. Nothing is responding. That's a good sign. Oh yes, Robert, I actually did. It's just I need to enter it into my environment variable, so maybe it's just yeah, nothing. I think my system might have frozen. Okay, never mind. There we go. Something happened weird. Okay. That was strange. Okay, there we go. Get rid of that. So now we got these two. Size this properly. So this is also going to be now, we now have this in our environment variable, so it's going to essentially be this. Except I called it YouTube API key. Yeah, Robert, what I did is I actually added in my settings for VS Code a comment, and then below that is a bunch of settings that I'll leave commented out when working during the day, but then all I have to do is uncomment them when I go live, and all of these things, like the hiding of the environment variables file, can all be just right there, and then I'll just comment it out when I work during the day. Okay, so we're gonna need to do this. Also a string. Also, I'm going to default it to null. These default prop types might need to change, but so it would be this YouTube access, or I'm sorry, YouTube API key, and then YouTube. Copy, paste, and then, okay. Now here, let's interpolate that value. We can get rid of this for now. Comment that out. We just want to see that it's actually coming in. YouTube channel ID. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I need to import that. That needs... There we go. Because I'm passing that prop now, but I wasn't passing it properly. Haha. Okay, that works. As expected. I'm going to move this down to the bottom. Object error. Bad request. So Robert, it looks like the API key is not enough. So maybe the code bad requests. Well, it's 400. I don't think that's 400 status. What's the invalid auth status? Bad request indicates the server cannot process. All right. It's probably that. Yeah. So this, this usage, domain usage limits. Hey, what's up, Tals? Welcome in the chat. You know what I'm gonna do? Off screen, I'm gonna run a. Well, no, I don't want to do that because I want y'all to see what's going on. Let's see. Let's get rid of this. Let's make this full screen again. Let's move this over to the side. So maybe what we need is we do need a bearer token as well. Let's see. Let me double check my... So I have Google API, YouTube v3. We're looking for snippets, event type live, type video. I'm actually gonna make this max results like 5 because even if someone has 25, I don't think we want. So API URL, we got the channel ID and the key. Oh boy. I think I probably accidentally exposed my key, so I'll need to revoke that again. Oh, did I get coursed? I got coursed, didn't I? No. Dude, that's not what I need. If I can do it via curl though, that's because that doesn't count as the browser, so it's not really the client, which is why this works. But if we were to do HTTP, so it looks like, yeah, it looks like, Robert, we might need both of these things. Yeah, these work. We see this coming in here. JavaScript. See, they want us to use their library, but I don't want to do that if I can avoid it. God, look how much work that is, all for this. I'm making an HTTP request, so I'm going to try this access token, maybe adding that. So in the Google interface, it looks like we have an API key created. However, I'm trying to find my access token so that I can use it for the auth here. I'm wondering, I think I might need to create an OAuth client ID. Hey Robert, yeah, because this is, I'm not using the Google OAuth here. So where would I create an access token, I guess? I would think that would be in the same place. Okay. Back to Google to search about YouTube. And Tals, I saw your question. Essentially what we're doing is we're building this this React component that is going to be published as an NPM package that allows people to embed an iframe of their stream automatically when they're live, and it's responsive. And so right now this is a hard-coded YouTube, and we're working on just making this dynamic based on some credentials you would pass into the component. And it already works for Mixer, and it works for Twitch as well. Yeah, there is a developer portal. So I'm not using any private data, so I don't think I need this OAuth info. It's all public. A request that does not provide an OAuth token must send an API key. The key identifies your project. The API supports several types of key restrictions, right? But do I need to pass both? Create a credentials using an API key. You pass it, okay. I actually think this should work. You think I need to pass both? Yeah, I just don't know how to create the access token without there's like some info in the console saying, hey, you can configure the consent screen, but yeah, that's what I'm hoping. So this is the endpoint I'm using. Can verify permission to this call. Can request permission to act. Well, I don't want to. I just want to get data. I think that should be okay. Your client ID is used to retrieve this token at runtime. So it looks like I have to create an OAuth token, and then I get a client ID. But does that mean every person that uses this package is going to have to do that as well to get... Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if it works first. I have to configure a consent screen. Okay, so I just created one. So again, I'm gonna move this over here so I can add it, and then I'll bring it back for y'all. Let's go to the settings. Let's that. Okay. React. YouTube client ID equals that value. Okay. Then we're going to hide these again. I'm going to copy that, get rid of that. Okay. So we should be able to now do the same thing, except we're going to say that it's the YouTube client ID. I don't like that you have to pass all these things, but it won't be as bad because in this example on the left, we're passing every single prop that you need or can pass here. But really, like if you were using YouTube, you would only pass these three, maybe this one as well. So shouldn't be too onerous, hopefully. But we can always clean this up as we go. And as I hopefully get closer to a V1 that I can push, then we can iterate on this in the future. Yeah, I definitely need to do something for sure. Okay, and then we're gonna need to do sort of what we did with Twitch, where we pass a header. So this URL second option in the fetch is headers, or an option object that allows you to pass things like headers. And we're gonna do, I believe it's authorization bearer, and then the key. Yeah, authorization bearer. Okay. So I believe that looks something like this. Authorization. And then it's going to be bearer. And then we're going to interpolate this value. And now that should work, I think. No. 401, invalid credentials. We have an API key and a client ID. So there's the response. We're getting a, I think, a CORS error. Well, it says it's unauthorized. That's the problem. So we were doing the right thing in converting it to JSON before we log it. This has got to be the client ID. So there's the client ID, which I think gets passed. Maybe I need to check my scopes here. Okay, we got the key. And we have a client ID. So I think, Robert, potentially what's going on is that I need to set up a list of authorized JavaScript origins. Potentially. And since I'm using localhost right now, I think I just need to do that. I've had to do this before, and it never works great. Cross origin blocked. Disallows reading the remote resource. Invalid credentials. That seems to be what they're asking for. I have an API key. I have a bearer token. Accept. Do I need to add the accept token? Or header, I'm sorry. Okay, so this API key does not use the bearer. Interesting. Yeah, I'm using the YouTube data API right here, and so this is what we're looking at. But I unchecked Google OAuth because I think we just want to make a call with the key, and that's what it says here. My other thought is maybe I have to use their package. I don't really want to do that. Also, I saw that there's a note saying that it might be that it takes a couple minutes for the key to work, to be registered on Google's side. So we're still back at so this one's a bad request, whereas the original usage limits. Bad request, key invalid. Anybody have any idea what that means? Let's do that. Yeah, see, it looks like that. Let me see, maybe over in my console I need to adjust some scopes or something. Doesn't look like it. Okay. No, Tals, the idea is that I want to request it from here, from the component. Because if it was in a cloud function, then we could just use because we wouldn't get screwed with the cross origin stuff. But that's not what I think is going on, because here we're seeing this request go out. I know it says HTTP request, but I would think that we would be able to do that the same way, just like with a fetch. Whereas here they're setting an API key with the SDK. But do they ever use a client ID? It doesn't look like it. Even here, all I see is that they're using an API key. So I would think that we would be able to do the same thing. Curl requires, so I have the accept header. I don't think that's what's going on. Your client ID, YouTube client ID. So let's uncomment this. that. Oop. I'm actually gonna comment out this token or this header. YouTube API 400 error. Incompatible parameters. This request specifies 2 or more parameters that cannot be used in the same request. Maybe I just malformed this URL somehow. Maybe I just have the URL wrong. Oh yeah, and then we need the channel ID. And that goes right before, after snippet, before event type. So maybe what we do is we just do this instead of trying to be fancy here. Yeah, I'm actually gonna change this all wholesale. Because I need to do a channel ID in here. And I need to do a key here. I'm wondering if I just malformed the URL. So this would be YouTube channel ID. This would be YouTube API key. Yeah, I don't think it does either. I'm just wondering why this works and that doesn't, but maybe it does have to do with it's coming from a browser. Same thing. Bad request. I would think that that would work. Okay. Yeah, still doesn't work. What if I add this back? Error. 401 invalid credentials. So I'm passing my OAuth client ID as the header, the bearer, and I'm passing the YouTube API key as a query param. That seems to be how you're supposed to access this stuff, unless I really don't want to do this. Do I need, is it forcing me to do this? Talves or Robert, do you think that using the JavaScript SDK would eliminate this issue with what seems to be a CORS issue? Because like if we do this, and I'm going to do this off screen since I'm going to use my key. What does the curl example look like? Yeah. That's the curl example. So it just uses the key. And then when you run it, bad request. Invalid channel. Oh yeah, it's because I put channel X. So let's go to YouTube and just grab a channel ID. We know, oh, this is not, we want to go to the channel. So this is the channel ID. Put that there. See, so the cores or the curl example works with just the API key. Unless just gonna move this over here real quick. Just confirming that I copied my key right. I did. Yeah, Robert, I don't think we need the bearer token. Let's just take that out. Yeah, because otherwise the example seems to suggest that we don't need it. Error. So it looks like cores, I'm getting a cores request. Yeah, it would be like an access token, right? So let's just get rid of this. Work. So the fetch YouTube data. So it is logging. I believe it's logging this because we're not getting here. So it doesn't look like the request had an actual error, because we would see that in the catch block. So does that mean do I need to actually do the whole like OAuth authentication dance? It seems like here that it's suggesting I can just do it via the API key. Yeah, unless the only thing I can think of is if my props are not coming in properly, but I mean, and this is a hard-coded YouTube channel ID. This, we're getting our API key. Or I have something funky. If it's cores, then we're pretty much screwed here, right? We can't really do anything other than we would have to make the requests outside of the client. So we'd have to somehow set up an infrastructure behind this to handle that authentication, which I don't think we want to do. Yeah, I like Axios a lot. I was just using Fetch because I don't want to install another package, but let's see, NDN. Because the core stuff is set on the server side, is my understanding. And that you can pass a flag. Yeah, if I do mode cores. But I'm pretty sure that what really matters is on the back end, if that's enabled. Okay, so mode. feel like this is what always happens. Yeah, but doesn't, Robert, isn't it that the server side needs to enable cores? Yeah, and so are those, so here for the fetch API, it looks like you can pass in, inside of the options array, you can pass a mode for cores right here. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for hanging out. This, yeah, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna bang my head against this, but I would like to get some sort of support for our YouTube friends here. I know it's not as commonly used, I don't think, but I know folks like Chris from Scotch.io streams on YouTube, so I'd like someone like that to be able to have the same thing we do. I wonder if I even need this. And it doesn't seem to have any effect. Oh, who's Nick Jackson? I don't think I know who that is. So YouTube API call from browser. How about some... Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, actually, Naren, I'm at some point, you know, in the next couple months, I'm hoping to start streaming a little bit of stuff regarding Go. I want to pick up a non-JavaScript language, and it seems like that could be a good one. What is this queue? Doesn't seem to matter. ID, so it's giving us back some info. Yeah, I've used Google APIs a couple times before, and I never have it work easily. Yeah, JavaScript fetch YouTube API example. Yeah, see, their docs are like so circular. You end up just looking at the same stuff, and it's never works. Yeah, I had to do some authentication at my last job between Google and our system so that we could access stuff in Google Drive, and it was interesting. Create a new project, enable, create, copy. I've done all that. API key. They're using Ajax. Okay. I don't know what the queue. Oh, queue. Do I need a queue because nothing's searching? So we're doing snippet, type, video, success. Interesting. Ah, man. Oh, Google Drive was crazy. We found so many inconsistencies using their API. Yeah, this is a crazy circus. Yeah, I want to fetch data from YouTube API. This looks old as F. Okay, I just changed a setting. Nope. I just thought I fixed something in the Cloud Console regarding the credentials. Do I have to have this queue? Because I think that's the search term, the query itself. So like if we did lo-fi, or let's see. Beats. Yeah, so that just adds this search term, I think. And then if we were to execute this, I think it would just filter things that have beats in it. Okay. Hey, Lumjacker. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Trying to troubleshoot some issues here with YouTube API. Yes, I am a JavaScript dev, which is why I'm having trouble with OAuth and making calls and stuff. All right, so I need to go to this project, I think. Oh, thanks for the follow, Lumjacker. Appreciate it. You get to see our beautiful party corgi alert right there. Aha. Bad request. Usage limit. Key invalid. That's interesting. Okay. I just created a new key. I'm going to see if for some reason that was what's causing this. I don't know why that would be the case, but let's try everything. Okay. Let's bring this back over here. Okay. So I saved a new key. Same deal. Bad request. Key invalid. So we know that's not the problem because I just created the key, so it's not invalid. It might have something to do with okay, so that is enabled. So it's enabled if your application will use any API methods that require user authorization, read authentication, selecting a client library to simplify your API implementation. Okay. So we have all that. Supported operations. So the table below identifies operations that are supported for 4 different types. So we're just listing. And we're listing via, I think, the search, which doesn't seem to be there. Okay. Lumjacker, I don't know. This basically what I'm trying to do here is I want to make a call to determine if a live stream is active based on a channel ID, and then if that's the case, we'll embed this responsive iframe. Right now, it's just hard coded. Of other streamers, you mean different than Chilled Cow? This does not work. YouTube, search, part, snippet, channel ID, event type, live, type video, key, YouTube key. Yeah, let's try that. Let's see. What's live right now? So here's their channel ID. If we drop that in here. Nope, same thing. Yeah, they're both bad, Robert. Honestly, I mean, it's just like what I think of the Amazon Web Service docs. Like, there's so many of them that you should be able to find what you're looking for, and you just can't sometimes. Like, look at this. It's just showing an API key. How easy. That must be nice. And then you get all this good info back. That's all we're looking for. Because once we get the information, once we get this to work, like, I think the rest of it's relatively trivial. But I don't know why this doesn't work. But I've been on for almost 3 hours, so we're not getting really that far. App scripts. Yeah, Go, .NET, Ruby. Even though it says JavaScript right here. Search. That's what I'm doing. Where are the code snippets? There's zero. Does anybody else see a code icon? Yeah, I did click that. All it does, it shows the curl, the HTTP, but then like same thing here, you take this off, you execute it, bad request, missing required. Is it because I did snippet, category, ID? Oh yeah, I'm looking for the search. For username. So this is channels, but I'm not searching for channels. These docs are not good. These are not good docs. If you're an open source maintainer and you ever work with this, just remember how bad of an experience this is. Keyword, no. Live events, that's what I'm looking for. Chilled cow. So these are the items. Yeah, but there's no information other than channels. We want to filter by video and type. Oh God, yeah, no thank you. Chilled cow, description, whatever. Really, these docs suck. They're fucking terrible. It's like they just don't follow, like the docs don't follow how this works. And I don't understand how you make docs like that. Yeah, so now we're back to this channel ID, I guess. Snippet. Channel ID. Because that's what everyone wants to pass into. They want to pass a string like that. Event type, we want to do live. This is what we were doing before. And we don't want this. We just want to execute it. Invalid search. The request contains an invalid combination of search filters and or restrictions. Note that you must set the type. Wow, look at that. Very readable. Human readable. This is the worst. Invalid search filter. I think that's a video. Yep. This is exactly what we're doing. What if we do this? Let's try this exact string. Same deal. Yeah, I don't know. This is, I think I'm going to give up for today because this is ridiculous. Like, if you can't write docs that work, then I'm not going to use your API. Like, I'm trying to support YouTube streamers, but Google's making it so that I cannot, which is incredibly frustrating. Dude, what a joke. Your docs say that they work, but they don't. Like, do I need to get on Twitter and start complaining to a YouTube developer? I think I'm going to do that. Let's see what that gets us. Follow up to that tweet after stream with a link to your VOD highlights so they can see the pain. Yeah, they can watch this whole thing. This is painful. What is it, Ryan C. Harris? I think it is. Whatever. I doubt anybody's going to answer us, but hey, come on. Jump in the chat. Tell us how this shit works. Okay, so one thing we did, we got the embed, but instead of sitting here and looking up documentation and trying to figure out what's going on here, I think we're going to call it quits for today. Maybe someone from YouTube will come out and tell us exactly how this works, or maybe they'll update their documentation and say, this is not going to work, so good luck. But thanks for hanging out in the chat. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the suggestions and help. This is, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. I think we made a good amount of progress today, despite some of these issues we were running into. So let's remember, what did we do? We updated the README, and then we abstracted some of these CSS styles. We updated some of the API call URLs to be a little bit easier to read. And then we try to get this YouTube stuff working, and it doesn't right now, so I'll add all this stuff. Say we updated the README, abstracted styles, added first pass at YouTube support. I get push origin master. Yeah, somehow we'll figure this out. So thanks again for coming to the chat. Again, I'm Ryan, as you know. You can reach me on Twitter at Ryan C. Harris. So feel free to reach out if you have suggestions about the stream, about the plugin itself. Like I said yesterday, let's see if I can grab this. I have a Twitch plugin list, so I'm just sort of like adding notes here as people suggest things and then trying to make like a list of requirements. So if you have anything, let me know. This is what we're working on right now. This is a hypothetical use case, but would love some feedback. So, and as usual, just one last pitch. If you want to read anything about hooks, I'm writing a series called Hooks Revisited right now, which I'm posting live on my site, ryanharris.dev. I just posted one on context yesterday, so if you're not familiar with it, please hop in. Happy to answer any questions, get feedback. So I have about 6 right now, hoping to go through every hook in the React documentation in the next couple weeks. And then I'll probably be adding some video content to those as well. So if reading's not your thing, you can always watch the YouTube video that I'll embed. So thanks again, and I'll probably be back potentially tomorrow to nail down that affiliate status. I think I need one more day in this 30-day window. So I'll let you know if I'm back on, and if I am, please join me in the chat again. Appreciate everybody coming out on a Saturday morning. Have a good weekend. See you next time. Peace.